Tell us about acting with Angela Bassett.
That was great. They like going in, I was a little nervous because it's like growing up watching this woman just chew scenery and just kill and murder scenes.
She's a legend.
Legend. I got to spend a couple of nights shooting on like this big yacht with Morris Chestnut. And it was in that moment where I was like, oh, no, I do belong here.
I want to go back to Walking Dead for a second.
The high profile nature of the show.
Right.
It's like I'd done quite a bit of television, 20 so odd episodes, but nothing was the magnitude of that show. And what I didn't realize at the time was because that success was coming, that I had associated my identity with the jobs I was booking. Last year, I found myself in the darkest place of my adult life. And I had sort of like this choice of I was gonna pick up something. It was gonna be a 9mm or it was gonna be a 6-string guitar. And it was in this place of desperation, this place of abject darkness, that I picked up my guitar. And for the first time in my life, I found my voice. And I just see like 150 Twitter notifications. And I'm like, what on earth?
He has acted alongside greats like Angela Bassett, Morris Chestnut. He's been on The Walking Dead. Now he's turning his talents to music. Glenn Stanton, aka Six String Guillotine. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Hey, Broadway, thanks for having me in, man.
Absolutely, man. How you been?
Been good. Staying busy, gigging, writing music, trying to get it released, all of that.
Yeah, man. I love it. So yeah, let's talk about the acting first. That's cool. So as I was preparing for this, I was looking at your demo reel, and then I texted you. I was like, "Is that Angela Bassett?" It's like, wait, when was this? So tell us about acting with Angela Bassett.
That was great. They like going in, I was a little nervous because it's like growing up watching this woman just chew scenery and just kill and murder scenes.
She's a legend.
Legend. And there's always the nerves that come with like meeting your heroes, because you're like, please be cool. Please don't show a different face. And when I tell you, I got on set and she was just the most delightful human to be around. Like between the scenes was just as much fun as shooting the scenes themselves.
Yeah.
So, and when you're with somebody that you can learn from somebody like that just by sitting in close proximity for a little bit. And I've been fortunate with a few actors in my career where I've been able to kind of learn just by having to go against them or be in the scene, sharing those moments with them.
Dope. What would you say you learned from her?
I think just how natural she is. Like there is something about her that she is so in herself as far as like she knows exactly who she is and she sits in that presence. And because of that, there's almost no difference between the acting and between her living, because she has erased those lines where she can just live honestly in that moment. And it was amazing to see it in person and be across from it, because you're like, oh man, I'm trying too hard. It's like that. I don't need to try. I just need to be honest, which I think that translates across all art forms, music,
Absolutely.
Acting, whatever. Like
Absolutely.
knowing yourself is a superpower, and it presents itself when you really sit in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about her as a person. You mentioned it a little bit, and how in between the scenes she was nice and everything. Like, talk more about that.
Yeah, she like as we sat there, she just kind of asked questions, because a lot of it too is, and I learned this from her that I carried on to like when I led my own film and everything, was when you're with somebody that's coming into an environment you're already familiar with. There was like this comforting thing that she did. We're just like kind of getting to know us a little bit and just chopping it up and just keeping it really light. And that way it doesn't allow you to sort of get in your head, as we all tend to do, of like, okay, I hope the director likes this. And you don't have time to think about that because, you know, she's just sort of like chopping it up with you and asking questions about you and then telling jokes about some other actor that she knows that we all know on set, kind of a thing, you know. But that was it. It just took a lot of the pressure off and it didn't allow me to like get in my head.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's super dope. That, like you said, sometimes when you meet your heroes, it can be a different way. And I hate hearing stories about, you know, famous people that I looked up to, and then you hear like they're assholes, or you hear this and that. But so it's amazing to hear that she is as pleasant as she seems and as great as she seems, because, like I said, she's a legend. Yeah, like one of the GOATs in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know? So that's dope. All right, let's talk about Morris Chestnut. You work with him as well.
Yeah.
Actually, let me go back. So talk more about, for those who may not have seen it, what was the scene with Angela Bassett? What were you doing?
So in that, it was 911, and it was a scene where her and the character Henny were going through it because Henny's character is a black lesbian woman. And she is having a lot of difficulty with some of the discrimination that she's facing in her own in her own crew, because you've got like the firehouses, you got the EMTs and everything. She's an EMT, and so she's having some issue in her house. And so Angela's character is like, "Well, come with me. I want you to meet some of my old friends." And so my character was actually a gay firefighter from another house, and so I was giving her essentially like kind of that pep talk of like, look, you know, this is how it went down with me. And for a while it was sideways, and then I just realized I don't have to bend to that. And so it was a beautiful like empowering sort of storyline. And there was another guest star on there as well, who was an officer, who was a woman who had to deal with her own discrimination on the force. So it was really dealing with the, you know, for those of us in marginalized communities, whether it be those of us who are people of color or individuals in the LGBTQ community, that sort of having to navigate multiple worlds when so many other people only have to navigate one.
All right, that's what's up. All right, now we can go to Morris Chestnut. So talk about working with him,
man. That was really dope. It was twofold for me. It was like my first top of show guest star that I did, and I booked it right after I came to LA. I hadn't even officially moved here yet, but like
where were you before?
I was in Chicago at that time, and so when I came out here to try things out, I booked that and like a soap opera role. But that was my first like big guest star role. Wow. And I got to play like I played this villain who was this party DJ in Miami, but he was running drugs through his it was like a yacht. He would pull up with his yacht and in these epic parties, but he was running heroin through his business. Gotcha. And so it was a show called Rosewood. I think it ran for 2 or 3 seasons. But Morris Chestnut plays like a forensic specialist who's working with the police, and he's more in the line of like psychology, is really like psychological forensics. So he's not officially a member, like all those kinds of procedural shows where you've got the officers and the person who's kind of a consultant but not officially. So that was his character. So I got to spend a couple of nights shooting on like this big yacht with Morris Chestnut, and it was the first like super affirming moment, I think, in my acting career, because I remember I get up there and I'm standing on this yacht and I look out and there's about, I don't know, 200 extras just spread out on this dock in front of this yacht. And then I see there's this big crane coming up near my face with the camera, and then I see like 4 of the cameras going, and my job is to step up there and just hold court. And I remember it was this moment of like this kid from Chicago coming to LA trying to make his own way. And then I was, you know, booked here, flew out to Miami, and I'm shooting this. And I look out, I just see all of these people. And in that moment, I got calm. And then the very next scene, I'm having to be inches away from Morris Chestnut's face, like barking him down. And it was in that moment where I was like, oh, no, I do belong here. I'm not chasing this. I'm in this. And so like that show was very affirming. And then getting to just sit again with another legend, somebody that I grew up watching. Yeah. Him and Angela both in some of the same projects.
Yeah.
But he also knows my cousin. And so
really?
Nice. So we were talking about that where he was like, we got to take a picture and send it to her.
Yeah.
And so we had a little bit of that like sort of already vetting sort of a thing. Nice. And that made it easy. And Morris made it easy. He's such a delight. And I remember I had just signed with his manager. We had the same manager at the time as well. And so it was very comfortable. And it really was the thing that told me that I belong.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you hit on something very key when you're talking about belonging and knowing that you belong. I love how you said it's like, no, I'm not chasing this. I'm here. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I think that's super dope for people out there who are chasing these creative endeavors, because it can be hard and there can be a lot of disappointment and a lot of, moments where you question what you're doing. So I think it's important to kind of keep that in mind. Like, yes, I do belong here. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think so much of that comes from sense of self. There is, I think so often, especially in entertainment and in the arts, we feel like we need to be a thing. Mm-hmm. We feel like we have to morph and we have to change into you got to be flexible, yes. Mm-hmm. But I think there is the superpower that really comes is when you accept and know exactly who you are.
Yes.
And then when you walk into the room, you walk in it differently. Because you're not coming in trying to give them what you think they want.
Right.
You walk into the room and you say, this is who I am.
This is me.
Is it for you or not? Because I'm cool either way, but I can only be honest. I can give you me.
Yes.
And I think the younger we are when we start off in entertainment, whether it be music, whether it be acting, we want to be liked. We want to be accepted. Yes. We want to be picked.
Yes.
And the more we try to do that, the further away from it we get, because that's such a moving target. Because at any given day, any given time, what they want changes.
The trends, that changes all the time.
Yeah, that algorithm starts pushing something else, and honestly, the people in power normally don't know what they want. Mm-hmm. I mean, more often than not, they're as clueless as everybody else, but they know it when they see it. Mm-hmm. And so I think as the goals we have, right, they're all in motion. It's like the little bingo 10. You're just rolling it, those balls are bouncing. Mm-hmm. And I think the more you chase it, the more out of alignment you get. And it's like this concrete element that you need in you where you just settle into who you are. And it takes time to get there. Yeah. It took me a while to get there. Mm-hmm. But now it is this thing where I settle into exactly who I am. And this is what you're going to get. And if you want it, great. If you don't, I got better things to do, man. I'm going to keep it moving because I'm going to do me.
Yes.
And I realized as soon as I started to settle into that, all of a sudden my fortunes changed, right? Mm-hmm. Because now when I walk in there, they're like, I don't know, there's just something about them. And it's like, it's because I'm not trying to be something. I'm not trying to impress you because that's not my job. My job is not to impress you. My job is to deliver. Yeah. And I'm going to walk in and I'm going to do that the way that I do that. And maybe it works for you. Mm-hmm. But if not, you're going to see honesty and you're going to remember me down the road. Like, he wasn't right for this. But, I really love him. We got to bring him in for something else. And that's how most of that industry works is that. Once you really show them who you are, then they're like, oh, that's the one. Okay, now I know exactly where we need to bring him in. So that's really kind of where I started to settle into there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super important for musicians to remember, I think, because, a lot of times you put a song out and maybe it doesn't get the streams that you want, or maybe you're not getting the accolades that you want from your friends, from your family, and I think something that I'm learning now is that it is our job to find the people who it is for, because the music's not for everybody, you know, like every song is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so it's our job as artists to find the people who it is for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not worry about, because I feel like we spend too much time worrying about the people who it's not even for anyway. You know what I mean? Instead of finding the folks that it is for and serving them.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And honestly, that was, I think, what got unlocked in me when I left music for as long as I did. Because I was in music long time ago, 100 years ago, and had some success in that. But it was a genre that wasn't for me. It was like, you know, when I first got into music was when I was in college, and I had an acoustic guitar, and I've always been a poet, and I've always been that very emotional kind of poet. And so when I was writing music, it was like this acoustic rock kind of sound.
Okay.
And my best friend in college was also, we played football together. I played football in college. And I was a linebacker. He was the starting fullback. And we became very fast friends, headbutting each other every day in practice. And he heard me playing one day, and he was like, "Hey, I really like that sound." He's like, "I play drums. Like, why don't we get together?" So we start playing, and it just takes off.
Nice.
And we start playing some gigs, but in that area there was like such a metal movement. And so we're walking in, and here I am, like 45 pounds bigger than I am right now. Okay. With an acoustic guitar, and then the starting fullback for our football team's back on drums. We're the most badass looking dudes at every like festival we're playing, and we're playing the softest music. And we stood out so much, you know. It was like it was an interesting dichotomy, which I think could have worked if we'd have just leaned into that.
Sure.
But you know, we were young, self-conscious artists, and you know, because of everything around us was this hard rock metal sort of thing. Yeah. I went and I bought an electric guitar, and I changed my style up and found as much of myself in that as I could. Like, I was still honest in the lyrics, but like the style of music, it wasn't really where I was supposed to live. Right. But we found success. We were on a few radio stations, a couple different states. We were playing in front of some people we needed to be playing in front of. And then I was already tired at 22. At 22, I was like, I am already exhausted. And I was like, if I'm already tired, I don't think it's sustainable. Right. And so I left, and I got roasted by this like rock and roll DJ in Columbus, Ohio. I won't say his name. I remember I met this man, and like he tried to dog me because he was like, "Well, you know, Glenn's I love this band. I'm gonna play them, but they're breaking up because their lead singer's a big thespian, and he wants to go off and do thespian things." And like he kept saying thespian, like with a lot of venom in his teeth. And I was like, "Man, I shook your hand, and you're a foot shorter than me. You ain't tough. Like you got a big microphone and a small stature. You don't come at me sideways." Right. But you know, I left, and I didn't really look back. And I left my music to the side. And then last year, you know, after making my living and being very blessed to have a very abundant career in film and television, you know, leading up to the strikes, these studios shrunk our workforce trying to make sure that we didn't have the war chest to battle out a strike. And then the strikes happened, and they're still trying to punish us for that and replace the whole workforce with AI artists. So I went from having the most successful run over 2 years. I'm like getting some national awards, a couple of Deadline articles, a couple of really big shows, my own movie, all of this stuff. And what I didn't realize at the time was because that success was coming, that I had associated my identity with the jobs I was booking. And it sneaks up on you. It happens quick because you get swept up in the excitement of it all, and you see where it can go, and everyone's hyping you up. They're like, "Yo, it's not if but when, man. Your team's pumping you up, everyone around you, all of that." And then everything goes silent. And when it goes silent, it bottoms you out if your priorities are in the wrong place. And that's what happened to me. Last year, I found myself in the darkest place of my adult life. And I remember having a conversation with a good friend of mine who lived on the other side of my wall at the time. And I told him, I said, I might need you to hold on to my gun because I'm not okay. And I ain't ready to pull the trigger, but I can see it from the porch, you know? And I had to sit in that. And I didn't really know where to go with that. And I had sort of like this choice of I was going to pick up something. It was going to be a 9mm or it was going to be a 6-string guitar. And I hadn't picked up my guitar to write in a very long time. And it was in this place of desperation, this place of abject darkness, that I picked up my guitar. And for the first time in my life, I found my voice.
Wow.
And I didn't know how it wanted to come out. But I found myself in this place where I could hear something. I knew there was a sound that was missing from my soul. And that's what I had to find. Yeah. And as I started to pick up my guitar and I started to lean into it, I found the groanings of my own soul start to find their way to the surface and come out of my mouth and pour into these songs. And I started writing songs for me. I had no intention on relaunching a music career. I needed to feel okay about being on this side of the dirt again. And as I started to write these songs, many of them through tears, through rage, through hurt, through betrayal, and in that, I realized I had my own medicine with me. And so now my sound, I realized that I, by happenstance, came about it the way we're supposed to. I wasn't thinking about an audience. And Rick Rubin talks about this a lot, you know, right? Like, you can't think about your audience. Yeah. You can't think about a audience because then you make dishonest art, right? Because you don't know what people want to hear. Right. And the more you try to give them what you think they want to hear, the more disingenuous you get. Right. But when you shut it all down and you say, no, this is the only thing that I can do right now because I need it. I am writing this for me. That's where all my songs come from. I write them because I have to write them because there is a sound that is missing from my soul. And once I find it, then I produce that sound. And then I just release it out into the world and see who's vibing with it. Yeah. And I can tell you, as successful as that band was, the speed and the veracity of people that have responded to my music now has overwhelmed me in the greatest way. There's so often through these last few months where I just stop like at least once a week and I'm moved to tears because of the people that rally around me. And it's because my art is more honest right now than it's ever been because I am more honest with myself than I've ever been. And it's unlocked something in me. Yeah. And now when I step on stage, that part's for the audience. Right. The songwriting's for me. Right. But what I give you, I will give you every bit of me because I know we're all here together. I like my show on Saturday. I said, "Welcome to Angry Church." Yeah. You know, like this. That's the heat I'm coming with. And if you're here, if you decided to spend some of your very finite time on this earth with me in this moment, I'm gonna give you everything I have. That part's for the audience. Yeah. But the music is all me. And when people hear authenticity, even if they didn't know that was a genre they were interested in, when they hear a soul groaning and they're like, yo, that is exactly how my soul is groaning, that will transcend genres, I truly believe.
100%. Yeah. You were talking about that genre and you have like what you call hillbilly soul. Yeah,
Afroindigenous hillbilly music.
Yeah. How did you kind of land on that?
Being multi-ethnic and multicultural, because I always say like there's a difference between those two, being multi-ethnic and multicultural, and I'm very fortunate to be able to live in all parts of those cultures that I carry. There is a unique flavor to each one, and there is this. I mean, my music is sort of this nexus point of all of those. My dad is black with a little Cherokee, and then my mama is Scots-Irish hillbilly from the sharecropping fields of Alabama and
Okay.
Appalachia territory.
Okay.
And it was Scots-Irish hillbillies and Cherokee out there. And so all of those things sort of informed me. My grandmother was a huge part of my upbringing. And you ask her what color the sun is, she says it's yellow. So I grew up with her singing Johnny Cash to me, Loretta Lynn, Conway Twitty. She put my first guitar in my hand, but I also grew up with a lot of Bill Withers and the Fat Boys and the Dream Team and like the classic poets.
Yeah.
And so my sound is each culture that I carry in my bloodline proudly, because my adult life has really been trying to reconcile all parts of myself and get to know all parts of myself. And the more I do that, the more Teflon I feel, because now nobody can tell me what I am because I already know, and you can't challenge me on that. Yeah. And so my music is a reflection of all of those things. There's an intensity that comes from all three. I mean, look, Irish sharecroppers, Cherokee who had to walk the Trail of Tears, and Black America, period. I mean, it's a lot of blood trauma right there.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate to be standing where I am, standing above trauma, and standing in a place of certainty of self, and being in a position where I beat the statistics, essentially, and my music is a bit of all of that. So it was like, as I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know, what do I call it? It's country, but it's not country, and I'm like, hey, you know what? It's Afro-Indigenous Hillbilly music, baby, because that's who I am, and that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you kind of came up with your own genre, essentially, your own thing, and that I feel like as an artist definitely can help, set you apart, and which is the name of the game, which is so key, is like kind of standing on your own. A lot of times we're trying to chase what everybody else is doing, but it's kind of like what you were alluding to earlier. I feel like when you can find your own voice and you stand alone, and you can, be an individual and be unique, then it's something that attracts people. That's something that people go, oh, okay, wait, what is that? I haven't seen that before. Like, wait, what's going on over here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think too, staying the course is the hardest part. Yeah. But it's the most important part, because we all want to make it, right? We say those words, but like, a lot of times we say those words and we don't define what they mean. There's a difference between having a vocabulary and having an understanding.
Yes.
And so to me, I try to reframe it as, making it an entertainment. At the end of the day, we're just playing Plinko. We're just dropping the balls, hoping they drop in the right place. Now, the more talented you are, the harder you work, the more time you put into it, the more balls you get to drop. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's the game. Yeah. Is you just keep going. Yeah. And you can't get caught up in the results. Yes. And I think that's the biggest failing of most artists, is that they measure themselves by results. Samuel L. Jackson didn't pop until he was like 44. Oprah, same thing. And when you look at the people that took time, it would have been very easy to just keep changing and trying. Well, it's not working here. Well, I'm not getting the results. And that's a sickness, because the results will come, but do you see growth? And in this country, the thing we fail in the most is measuring fulfillment and purpose. We don't measure that because everybody thinks you got to be famous, right? Or everybody thinks you need this many followers. Everybody thinks you need this many likes. And it's like, that's a symptom. That ain't the goal. The goal should be purpose. And the more you sit in that, it'll come around. Yeah. Eventually it will come around. I truly believe that. When you are in alignment, when you and Creator are locked up in that vertical alignment, and you are sitting so sound in your purpose, it finds you. Yeah. Because certainty draws attention. Yeah. because not many people are certain of anything
Right.
when it comes to themselves. We all got opinions. Yeah. Everybody got an opinion they feel real strongly about.
Right.
But few people are certain in them inside of themselves, and that draws attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you were talking about earlier about like the Planko chips.
Yeah.
I one of my like favorite speeches I've seen is Will Ferrell was giving a commencement speech, and he was talking about how he was able to be successful, and he was basically like, I just kept throwing darts at the dartboard, and I love that. Like just keep throwing darts, because if you throw enough darts, eventually you are gonna hit something.
Yeah.
You know, even the person with the worst aim, you throw enough damn darts, you are going to hit something. And the benefit of throwing a lot of darts is that also eventually your technique gets better over time. So like over time, your throws become more and more accurate. So you're more likely to get closer to the bullseye with each and every throw.
Yeah.
Let's talk about branding for a second and visual identity, because I feel like that's something that you have locked in. And I feel like it's something also that a lot of artists neglect. I feel like we think about our sound and, you know, what we want our music to sound like, but I feel like the visual identity is just as important, and having that be consistent across your social media and across your music, so it all is cohesive. I feel like you have that dialed in, like your music is cohesive with your visual identity, and that carries across your social media. Like when you go to your social, it's like it's clear, like, okay, this is what he's doing. Like I was on a consultation call with this dude Morris Chestnut, who he used to manage Jesse Reyes, and he does a podcast as well. And that's one thing he was a critique for me. He was saying is like, you know, having a kind of a brand identity and that type of thing. And so I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on how you kind of arrived at the visual kind of identity too. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's important, and I feel like it's something that not a lot of, or not enough artists pay enough attention to.
Yeah. You know, I think so much of it probably honestly comes out of the kind of storytelling I've been doing, you know, my entire adult life, like being in acting and having time in music. You learn a little bit from each one, and you absorb a little bit of that, and realize, especially when it comes to film and television, the storytelling is in the writing, in the scenic design, and the actors, the director that's helping shape it. There's so many elements, and they're all just as important. And so coming into music, I mean, I really honestly, like coming back to music, I've approached it as a screenwriter in a lot of ways. Most of my songs, I've had people say, it just feels like I'm watching a movie every time I listen to one of your songs. I'm like, that's probably because I've spent, you know, like 15 years acting and everything. And so it's going to rub off on there. And the visual side of it, it's funny because I've always battled when it comes to brand. Because whenever somebody says brand, me being the nerdy artist I am, there's like my spine tries to jump out of the back of my neck and crawl across the room. And I used to it used to bother me, but I realized it would only bother me because there's so many people that I knew that thought brand before they even knew what they were. And it's like, how can you have a brand if you don't even know what it is you're offering? And so for me, it's the most organic that it's ever come about, because I know exactly where I'm drawing from. I mean, I'm sitting here with Johnny Cash on my shirt and his mugshot. Like, Johnny Cash is so integral to me. And he talked about, he was the Man in Black, the original Man in Black. And he talked about, you know, in a time of plaid cowboys, he's like, I ain't gonna be that plaid cowboy. You know, I wear black for the downtrodden, the brokenhearted, the people left behind, the poor, the imprisoned. It was this sense of mourning. and this iconic stepping into, I will bear this for you and I will be your voice. And as I just listened to more Johnny Cash and really his philosophy as much as his music, because I'm so philosophical in my approach to everything, that's really where I started to land. Because I'm like, I own and carry this moniker of Six String Guillotine because my music comes from a place of rage and anger at the injustice that is constantly being pelted on us from basically 13 families in this country. And it was this element of I take what he gave me and then I try to build on it. You know, when I look at country music, I don't see anybody that looks like me. So why am I going to try to look like what doesn't represent me in the first place? I'm not interested in conforming to rooms that weren't built for me. If I'm going to step in there, I'm going to stand out on my business. And so it feels like an act of defiance stepping out on a stage with this Stetson hat, because good old boys have certain thoughts about that.
Right.
But then they forget, and I like to remind them just with my presence that the first cowboys were black. That's why they were called cowboys and not steermen. It was a derogatory phrase, but doing what we do, we made that shit so cool. They came back and they're like, second thought, we want to take that. Yes. We want to take that and own it and make it our own. And so there's that element where I am trying to muster that man in black that Johnny Cash, he set the bar so impossibly high. But, you know, I'll be damned if I don't try to honor that. But I'm going to put all this drip on me because we shine.
Yeah.
And for me, there is a continuation of, I wear all black because there are things to mourn. But this gold is a symbol of, they hate us because they mad that they don't shine like us. They have to build power and stack bread because they think that'll make up for the fact that they don't have any substance or any flavor. We have that flavor. We shine because we're the ones that are standing in the light. They're searching for it, and that's why they're trying to absorb everything around them. They think the more that they consume and own, then they'll be able to find it and be loved and find love and find purpose and find existence instead of simply interacting with humanity. So for the rest of us that are on the ground level, I have no interest in being an affluence. I grew up the poor kid and rich in private school. You know, my grandparents were wealthy, so it allowed me the privilege and opportunity to go to these schools. But I never felt fully a part of that. And so it's given me this unique perspective of my own life and my own existence. And my branding came from such an honest place because it matches my music. I know who I am. I know what I have to say. And this is now what I've stepped into. It's like, you know, when I first started playing live again, because this all happened so fast. As I realized, it's like I played my first set in Los Angeles in February of this year. And, you know, when I was doing it then, like that was the first time I put on the Stetson hat and the black. Before that, I was just like playing at open mics and like, you know, these black overalls that I have and all of that. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to do something. And then I was like, I'm just throwing on black, man. And when I put on the ice and I put on the gold, for me, it's like an armor. It allows me, because it's like when I'm walking around in my everyday life, I mean, look, I like to shine. I've always been an accessorized man. I don't wear all of this all the time.
Right.
But when I step on stage, it allows me to be the vulnerable artist that I am, because I'm going to crack open my entire soul for everybody in the room. And I am going to give every bit of that I have. And there's something about putting on this Stetson and putting on this jewelry and this ice. It is like this armor where it allows me to be vulnerable because it gives me like a sense of protection in a way. It's the only way I can describe it.
Okay.
And so like my branding has come from that very honest place of there is some sort of nerdy poetic sort of philosophy behind it.
Yeah.
But the more I stopped trying to run from that and just embraced of like, hey, let it happen organically. Let it tell you what it wants to be, because that's the honest place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love kind of the outlaw kind of vibe you have going on. I was talking to you, we were texting a little bit about this before, but one of the things that Mauricio was talking about was brand archetypes. And one of them is the rebel.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you have that dialed in, like I said, and because that was really Mauricio's main critique is like of me is like, okay, what is your brand archetype, and then how is that like coming across on social media?
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've been trying to, over the last couple of months, like figure out, dial in and all that. But like I said, I feel like you have that dial, like the outlaw is apparent, is dialed in, it's there, and it's, there on your social media.
Yeah.
So how'd you kind of arrive at the kind of the outlaw vibe?
I think being an outsider is very much akin to that outlaw. Like you rage against them. You rage against a system that you don't feel a part of. And I mean, being a mixed kid, especially like in all white schools, right? Like I felt like my life was in between the cracks. Because I felt isolated as a person of color, and then you're trying to like, you're just trying to blend. You're trying to find this, and the more you try to just blend, the more hollowed out you kind of feel. And, I think a lot of it was I didn't realize for a long time how I had made my number one priority in my life to make very conservative white people comfortable around me. And I didn't realize at that age that I was doing that because I was a kid, And then as I got older, I realized the poison that I had in my veins and how I had dimmed my own shine and dimmed and muted myself, hoping that it would allow me to be safe. And I finally got to this point. It was a buildup where it was like every year a little more of it shed. But honestly, when George Floyd was lynched and murdered, and I saw the response of some of the people that I knew for a long time, it broke that in me. It was this realization that no matter how many degrees I have, no matter how straight and narrow I walk, that if I die, if I am wrongly executed by the police, there's a lot of people who are just going to argue I'm a nigga, right? And so there was something in that broke where I had no piercings, I had no tattoos. And I hit this point of, why am I steering away from stories? Every one of my tattoos has a story to it. The piercings I have are things I've wanted for a long time. I've avoided it because I was like, well, I'm already this 6-foot athletic built brown dude. I'm already a threat. As soon as I walk in, I can't do anything else that makes me more threatening. And then after George Floyd, I was like, nah, bump that. This is who I am. You know, this is, and if you were gonna get there, you're gonna get there anyway. So we might as well just go ahead and hit the fast forward and get it over with. And I also, I grew up around motorcycles. I ride Harleys. I rebuilt my own Harley, like all of this. So it was like, it was all of this stuff that just bled into it. And it was this very natural emergence of this rebel outlaw sort of spirit. Because I don't care what the expectation is, because the expectation is backwards. The expectation is ignorant. The expectation is from one cultural perspective, and damn that, I'm not interested in what your projections are. I'm gonna walk in me. And if that bothers you, then we can't be in the same airspace. But I ain't gonna move. And the more that rose up in me, I'm like, this the only thing I can be is the outlaw. That's all I can be is the rebel.
Yeah.
And I get that from my family. I mean, my mama is, she got a lot of Cherokee in her, but she's blonde hair, blue eye, so that white presenting got her along a lot. But she got married to my black father when they were in high school. Mm-hmm. She was pregnant with me her senior year of high school.
Wow.
And the school did not want her to walk. Mm. The last thing they wanted was this little blonde hair, blue eye, white girl with about 7-8 months pregnant belly walking across that stage when they know she married to a black man.
Yeah.
So they started marking her absent in classes she was attending. They would call her name, Crystal Waters, here, Crystal Waters, here, absent.
Wow.
So my mama had to drop out of high school her senior year. That woman went on to get her GED. As of 2 years ago, she was an assistant dean at a nursing college.
Wow.
That's that rebel spirit.
Yeah.
That's where I get it from.
Yeah.
My grandmother was a dirt poor sharecropper. Grew into businesses, married well, grew their businesses together. A wealthy woman, still a hillbilly. Proud of that too. Mm-hmm. And there's a long line of that in my family. So it's in my blood, and I had giants on whose shoulders I get to stand.
Awesome. That is amazing, dude. And I definitely relate to a lot of what you were saying about, growing up. I'm not mixed, but I did go to private school. Mm. I was the poor kid at private school, but it was my parents. They just wanted a better, what they felt like would be a better situation for me.
Yeah.
And so they just sacrificed. Yeah, they didn't necessarily have private school money. Mm-hmm. They were regular jobs, but it wasn't. But they just wanted to put us in private school because they wanted to, to set us up for a better situation. But the irony of that is that, I did experience a lot of the racism, there. Like I remember, while we're on it, I remember specifically there was one day I was in like 7th grade at this private school, and there was another girl that started midway through the year, and she was Native American, and so she was fairly like darker skinned, and so I'm out in the hallway, but I could hear in the classroom, but I'm just out in the hallway, and one of the guys walked into the room, and because that girl had just started, and he was like, "Man, niggers are taking over the school." You know what I mean? And this is it, and I'm hearing this in 7th grade, at this at this private school, and so that like it's those experiences that definitely kind of shape who you are, and then also like in high school, I'm in honors classes in high school, and I'm the only person that looks like me in the honors classes. And so it created this situation where I'm like too black for the white kids but too white for the black kids. Yep. And so I just I understand a lot of what you were kind of what you were talking about.
There is a confusion of identity. Yeah. Because it is seeking self while also in the midst of survival is one of the hardest things. Because it puts you at odds with yourself. Because survival goes into stark conflict with self-identity. And it's hard to realize. You can't realize that at a young age, I remember I wrote a piece. It wasn't a song, it was actually a script I wrote. And it was me kind of trying to find the source of certain traumas in my life. And I ended up writing this script that I realized that so much of my issues of and self-identifying and coming to wholeness with myself started in junior high. And it was a specific moment where we had to do all, you have to do all the standardized tests and all of the tests and all the tests, and you have to fill out the paperwork. And I remember, as I'm sitting there and I get to the ethnicity part, and I see these boxes, and I raise my hand. I'm like a handful of these. Yeah. I'm like, so what do you want me to do? And the teacher was not malicious at all. Wonderful man. Yeah. But he looked me in the eye and he said, pick one. And so at 14, I didn't realize this man was asking me to decide which of my ancestors live and die. And now I got to pick one. And then I got to fully lean into that because that's who I am. Right. When it's not, I am Black. I am Cherokee. I am a white hillbilly. I'm all of these things and none of these things simultaneously. But I was told I had to pick one. Yeah. And that does something to you. And culturally, it's the same thing, where you are in a private school that speaks a certain way and moves a certain way because that's the dominant culture. And we as people of color, we have to navigate multiple worlds, whereas other Americans only have to know their own and only have to move in that space. Yeah. And so it creates these very unfortunate and unnecessary obstacles that are sewn into our society of, all right, well, I got to give up some of my Blackness so that I can excel, so that I can prove I'm intelligent. Because if I talk Black, then I'm not smart enough. Yeah. But then you do that, and then Black folks are like, what you selling us out for? Yeah. And as a kid, you can't comprehend that. You can't navigate that expertly. You can't.
Yeah. Now that's honestly part of why I wear the do-rag now. You know what I mean? Because it is that symbol of of kind of where I come from. What I'm saying? Like the Blackness, if you will. And I also, it's also part of why I tend to navigate into some of the spaces that I do. And because I'm hosting showcases and events, but a lot of those people at those places don't look like us. But I've had people come up to me and say, like, this is cool to see you. Like, people of color come up to me and say, hey, this is cool to see you, like, kind of running and hosting these spaces. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I think that that is important. And that I take pride in that. And like being a person of color who's, kind of, somewhat a leader in the, LA scene, the music scene or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Community builder.
And so, I just think that's important to know who you are and own your identity. Like I said, that's why I, rock the do-rag proudly in these, in these spaces, and I'm like, showing like, okay, this is me. This is what I do,
The more proudly that we stand in who we are, the more space we create for the others coming up.
Absolutely.
Right. When they see us stepping out,
right,
all of a sudden they have permission.
Yep.
And it's like growing up, there's a lot, like I didn't see anybody that looks like me in country. I still don't really see, very few. There's very few. But it changes. It's like you can choose to wait for somebody else to give you permission, or you can choose to be the permission. You can choose to walk in. One of the most powerful moments for me that I've experienced was me and my band. We went up to Ashland, Oregon. We played this amazing concert. It's my favorite one I've played so far. And there was a big group of Native American youth that were at their show. It's about 60 or 70 of them. And we played this show. The crowd was huge. It went nuts afterwards. I've never signed so many autographs. It was cool, right? Nice. That was cool. Because I'm old enough where I know where to put that. This is for them. But there was this kid. He came up and he was tall. He's like the teenage kid that sticks out and tries not to because he's just bigger than everybody. Yeah. And he came up running to me. And he was so overwhelmed with joy. And he looked me in the eyes and he said, after watching your show, all I want to do is music. And that's the only thing that I want. Because I know that me growing up, I was so badly looking for a reflection of myself in the world, and I could never have it. I didn't see anything that looked like me. And to be able to have this one moment of this one kid in this moment of time, just simply because the universe aligned it, where I could be just simply the green light for him in his life. Now, whether he does music or whether music is the thing that helps him find where he's supposed to be, all of a sudden the boundary lines expand for him. And for me, that's when I clock out and when my last day and my number is called, all I want my legacy to be is that I was able to push the boundary lines for everybody else to help other people realize, no, we ain't limited. We're only limited if we sit in the limitations.
Absolutely.
But the moment we decide to stand up, erase that chalk line and keep it moving, that's what I want my legacy to be.
Absolutely. Sometimes awareness is the stepping stone to achievement. So just knowing something, because sometimes, we don't know, especially a lot of times people of color, I feel like we're not aware of what is possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just don't, like, people that are around us in our direct circles a lot of times aren't, doctors and lawyers in a lot of cases. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like we don't know what is possible. We don't see, people that are successful in these different areas a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? So just to have that, have somebody you can look at and be like, oh, I can do that. Oh, dope. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you see somebody that looks like you and you're like, oh, I didn't realize I could do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that is huge.
Yeah. Because our imagination isn't strong enough. Especially when you're inundated, when every movie, every TV show, every commercial looks like these types. And you're like, well, I guess this is not what I can do because there's no space for me.
Right.
We need that. I got a lot of friends, a lot of brothers that grew up in the inner city that got bussed in to schools. And the running theme with all of them is they say the best thing that happened from that was I found myself in a school where I was hearing, well, you see all of this, that, and the other? You can do that. And he said, I had never had somebody tell me that before. I didn't realize that I could own my own business, that I could get into politics until this adult looked at me in the face and said, yeah, you can do these things. And now all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can dream about that. I can pursue that. I'll figure out how to get there. But now I know that I am not excluded from that road and pathway.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely opens up so much for you when you just know what's possible and you see somebody like you doing it. So I want to go back to Walking Dead for a second because we didn't really get to talk about that. How was that experience? Like, Walking Dead, by the way, was like, I used to watch that religiously. I watched Talking Dead even religiously. Like, I would DVR Talking Dead even. So I was like a big Walking Dead fan, just FYI. So super cool that I'm talking to somebody who was on the show right now. But how was that whole experience working on that show?
That experience was really dope. It was a teaching experience to me too. Not acting on the show as much as like the high profile nature of the show. Right. It's like I'd done quite a bit of television. 20 so odd episodes. But nothing was the magnitude of that show. And so, one, I was nervous showing up to set because I did like a 5-episode arc in the last season. And so at this point, a lot of this cast has been doing this for 7 to 10 years. they've been knowing each other for a minute.
Yeah.
And then here I come, the new kid in school, and I'm like, I don't know what a show that big running that long, what kind of dynamic that makes, like with personalities and and I was so warmly greeted and welcomed in and like embraced. And, you know, I'm a comic book nerd. I ended up like, you know, I was reading a lot of comic books, and I had several like I got Lauren Cohen into reading comics, which was fun. We became very fast friends over talking about our dogs.
Nice. And
then I'm just passing out comics to different people like a sommelier. Oh, you like this? Here, let me pair it with this.
Nice.
But it was fun to be on that. Like it was a teaching experience, one of understanding, like when you're on these high profile shows, whether it be like that or like action films and like the Marvel films and all, there's so much hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Like there were so many days where I was on set 12 to 14 hours and on camera for 45 minutes.
Wow.
I think there was one episode in particular, like where we're stuck on this train trying to get out. And I think for like 3 days in a row of filming, the predominant task I had in my on-camera time was just trying to open the same door. It was just like different angles.
Yeah.
and it grates on you.
Yeah.
Like especially your artist feels like, I'm not doing anything. And like you're always in conflict of like, this is the best money I've ever made. This is the biggest show I've ever been on. But the artist is like, feed me.
Yeah.
I'm so sad because I'm just moving stuff around.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience in learning how to deal with that and knowing which friends I could call and be like, I got to talk to you because you know that I'm not spitting in the face of this incredible opportunity I have.
Right.
I'm just trying to emotionally and mentally navigate a weird new headspace for myself.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like once I finished the show, when I finished filming was when the first story broke on like this huge Twitter page, like this huge Walking Dead Twitter page. Broke the story. I don't know how they found out, but like they make the announcement that I'm on the show. And I remember I'm in Ohio. I'm sitting at lunch with my college friend who played drums with me in the first band.
Gotcha.
And anytime I'm sitting with somebody, I turn my phone face down so that I'm just with them.
Yeah.
And he got up and he goes to the bathroom, and I take my phone and I just see, and I was never on Twitter, like ever at this point. And I just see like 150 Twitter notifications. And I'm like, what on earth happened?
Wow.
And then I open it up and it's like my followers doubled.
Wow.
And there's like everything that I tweeted had like thousands of engagements. And now all of a sudden, and it actually, I sunk into a depression.
Huh.
And I was trying to figure that out, like trying to navigate that.
Yeah.
And I realized after I sat with it for a little bit, I was like, what I'm afraid of is I don't have control of my own narrative right now. Like this is now grown out of my control.
Right.
I felt like anybody could just reach out and touch me. Yeah. It felt very vulnerable. And like my anonymity was suddenly just gone.
Yeah.
And I like my anonymity.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, part of why I like getting on the motorcycle is I put on a helmet and you don't know who I am, what my ethnicity is. I'm just a dude on a bike.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden that was kind of gone. And it was great because I learned that about myself. I didn't know that about myself. I didn't know that's how I interacted with. So like that show taught me so much, and I had a lot of fun. I did like I had a lot of fun. It wasn't just me being sad and a broody artist. I did have a lot of fun, and my like there's an episode where I get tortured, and it's me and Norman Reedus who played Daryl Dixon. And it was such a fun, exhausting day. I mean, we shot my torture scene like 47 takes, I think.
Wow.
So it was an intense day.
Wow.
But me and Norman Reedus, we were talking about it before because like the storyline is like we've been traveling together and then the bad guys catch us and he's trying to tell them that he's not with the group they caught me with. And so they're trying to make him prove it by having him now come into the room and start taking over the torture on me. And so in this, without saying any words while he's torturing me, we're having to have this conversation with our eyes. And he comes up to me and he's like, man, Glenn, I got to tell you, man, like, I'm a little nervous. Like, I don't know how we're going to make this read, bro. Like, I don't, brother, I'm trying to figure out how to make this. I'm like, I'm the same way, man. Like, I I don't know how, like, I think we'll figure it out, but like, this is new for me too. And once we got in there and the director comes up, Greg Nicotero directed that episode, and he came up to us. He was like, listen, we're going to shoot everybody watching this, what's going on first, so that you guys can sort of find a rhythm. And he was like, and then once we start to settle in, we'll turn around, we'll get your coverage and all of that. And so by the time they turned around, Norm and I were like, he looks at me, he goes, I think we got it. And I'm like, I think we're there, man. Let's just lean in. And we found it. And it was fun. So it was like, there was so many great new experiences, and being on a show of that magnitude was like a new achievement, like a new level for me, which I'll forever be grateful for. That, and I mean, you know, financially, it's probably the main reason I'm still above water.
Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. That's awesome, man. No, as like I said, a fan of the show, it's awesome to hear you talk about those experiences and like get some, you know, little behind the scenes kind of nuggets. So, man, it's super cool, bro. Glenn Stanton, Six String Guillotine. Thank you so much for joining me, brother. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, and it's just spelled out Six String Guillotine. I'm releasing music here in the next 2 weeks. It's taking longer than as it always does. It's taking longer than I expected. But we've got the first single coming out very soon. Awesome. And we've already got some in the can that we're going through the whole promo steps with now. And I'm getting in to do the album later this year.
Dope, man. Love it. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely be checking out all the music and the shows and all of that. Do you feel like, sir, before we go, I just thought of something else. Like, do you feel like the acting has definitely helped your stage presence? Because somebody told me that, you know, somebody else who I was talking to said they took some like improv classes and stuff, and that helped with their like stage presence. And I mean, I just watched you perform this past weekend, amazing stage presence and all of that. So I mean, you feel like that kind of played a role in that?
Yeah, I you know, because before I got into film and television, I was doing theater, and so the stage is a place I'm very comfortable, and I'm a storyteller. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all I'm doing. And so like starting off in theater, it's where I really cut my chops of really understanding how to fill a space, but also empty yourself so that you can create space for the audience to live that experience. And so that's really what I try to do with my shows. My songs are me, but the show is for the audience to feel something. It feels like church to me because it's this conversation with a room of people and this incredible intimacy. But I learned that from the many years and many stages and different types of theater that I've done. You just start to get comfortable in that, and then it becomes home, and then everybody else feels like they're a part of the show themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dope. I love it, brother. But thank you so much for joining me, man.
Happy
appreciate
to be
you,
here.
dude. Yeah, this is a great conversation, so hope folks got something out of it, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you heard. And if there was something that particularly resonated with you, let us know in the comments. And if there's somebody who you feel like could get something out of this episode, go ahead and send it to them. We'll see you next time.